Long before the celebration of Christmas, plants and trees that remained green all year had a special meaning for people in the winter. Ancient peoples hung evergreen over their doors and windows, and in many countries it was believed that these plants would keep away witches, ghosts, evil spirits, and illness. Germany is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition as we now know it in the 16th century when devout Christians brought decorated trees into their homes. The first record of one being on display was in the 1830s by German settlers of Pennsylvania. Although trees had been seen as a tradition in many German homes much earlier, as late as the 1400s, Christmas trees were seen as pagan symbols and not accepted by most Americans. In 1659, the General Court of Massachusetts enacted a law making any observance of December 25th other than a church service a penal offense. People were fined for hanging decorations. In 1846, the popular royals Queen Victoria and her German Prince Albert were sketched in an illustrated London news stand-in with their children around a Christmas tree. She was popular with her servants, and the Christmas tree tradition caught on quickly. Leaving cookies and milk for Santa took off as an American holiday tradition in the 1930s during the Great Depression. In that time of great economic hardship, many parents tried to teach their children that it was important to give to others and show gratitude for the gifts they were lucky enough to receive on Christmas. The original roots of this holiday food tradition go back even further, all the way to ancient Norse mythology. During the Yule season, children would leave food out for Sleipnir, a god's horse, in hopes that the god would stop by on his travels and leave gifts in return. People have been sending Christmas greetings to each other for hundreds of years. The first known item that looked a bit like a Christmas card was given to King James I of England in 1611. This was more like a large manuscript rather than a card as we think of them today. It was 33 inches by 24 inches and folded into panels. Christmas cards appeared in the United States of America in the late 1840s, but were very expensive and most people couldn't afford them. In 1875, Louis Prang, a printer who was originally from Germany but who had also worked in the UK, started mass-producing cards so more people could afford them. Mr. Prang's first cards featured flowers, plants, and children. In 1915, John C. Hall and two of his brothers created Hallmark cards, who is still one of the biggest card makers today. Lining up at the mall to snap a photo of the kids on Santa's lap may seem like a modern Christmas tradition, but it dates back to 1890 when James Edgar of Brockton, Massachusetts, had a Santa suit made for him and dressed as Santa at his dry goods store. The gimmick caught on, and a year later, Santas could be found in many stores. While many point to Edgar as the original source, Macy's in New York claims it has been hosting Santa since 1862. The real historical St. Nicholas is known for selling all his possessions and giving his money to the poor. Raised as a devout Christian, St. Nicholas dedicated his whole life to serving the sick and suffering. Traditionally, families left their shoes by the fire at night so they could dry. On 3 separate occasions, St. Nicholas provided a dowry for children and girls. Legend says he made gold appear in their shoes drying by the fire. Ginger root was cultivated in ancient China, where it was commonly used as a medical treatment. From there it spread to Europe via the Silk Road. During the Middle Ages, it was favored as a spice for its ability to disguise the taste of preserved meats. The first known recipe for gingerbread came from Greece in 2400 BC. The hard cookies, sometimes gilded with gold leaf and shaped like animals, kings, and queens, were a staple at medieval fairs in England, France, Holland, and Germany. Queen Elizabeth I is credited with the idea of decorating the cookies in this fashion, after she had some of them to resemble the dignitaries visiting her court. Their popularity rose when the Brothers Grimm wrote a story of Hansel and Gretel, in which the main characters stumble upon a house made entirely of trees deep in the forest. It is unclear whether or not the gingerbread house was a result of the popular fairy tale or vice versa. Gingerbread arrived in the New World with English colonists. There were cookies sometimes used to sway Virginia voters to favor one candidate over the other.